right, this event is the Underhand Chop. I'm Mike Slingerland, this is Matt Bush, and we're going to start out with showing you how to set up the log. First thing you want to do is look around the log for the knots. Find the knots that are closest together. If you got knots that are really close together, those are going to have to go at either the top or the bottom. Then the next thing you do is you look at the surface of the log. If your heart's way off center, again, you want that either at the top or the bottom. So this log, the heart's a little bit off center, but not bad. Knots are a little bit close, but not bad. But we're going to go ahead and set it up. These are the closest knots. We're going to put those right on the top. We'll just draw a little line there. Throw it in the stand.
Now, if you're at a competition, setting this log up in the stand, the dog end of the log here, you always want to drive off away from the dogs. So when you initially put it in the stand, you want to keep that in mind. If you have to finish facing the crowd and you're right-handed, this is the way we'd set this log up. I'm right-handed, so facing the crowd, I'd finish on this side, driving away from the dogs. If we drove into the dogs, this end of the log stationary, we'd have a hard time getting the log off to finish it.
And the timers wouldn't be able to tell when you're finished exactly. So we're going to bash this down good, make it nice and level, and check and make sure it's tight. Then put your dogs in. If it was a contest, you might even want to nail your dogs in to make sure they don't come out, but we're not going to worry about that today. Yeah, if one end seems like it's popping up, then just put a little weight on the other end, bang down, let the log seat into where the dogs are. Now when you're going to mark the block out, your first step is going to be to establish your center line on the top, right there, and then to establish a center line around the log. If your block has a lot of knots in it, that center line is going to be halfway between your two closest knots. If you have a block without a lot of knots, it'll just be the center of the stand. So what we got here is about 15 inches between those two knots. So at 7.5, we'll establish our center line. And we're going to check the diameter of our block. And this block is 12 inches. So when we open this up, half of 12 is 6. So on our drive side, our power side, we're going to go half the diameter plus an inch. So that's 7 inches.
Hold on.
And we're going to bring that up to about an inch off of our center line. And what that does geometrically is give you a 45-degree angle right there, which is optimal for cutting this wood. Then on the other side, we're just going to come out about 6 inches. This is the chip side. You don't need quite as much angle on this side. And if you're a really good axeman like Matt, you can bring this one right to the center, and that'll still give you 45 degrees. But for the intermediate and beginner axeman, you probably want to bring that line up about an inch off the center. And it gives you a little less angle, but it gives you a little more room for error in the middle of the log. Then you just repeat that on the back. All right, from there you're ready to put in the footholes.
When you put these footholes in, the most key thing is they want to be level. I cut my footholes square across the log, basically, this way. Some people actually angle their footholes slightly to get their feet in closer to the center. You don't want to get too close to this line you're cutting with the risk of cutting a foothole, because you'll be put out disqualified. Now everything you do with the axe when you're setting up, you want to do it basically in the least number of hits. And all this is part of the training, cutting footholes, peeling logs, all that can be related back to actual using the axe and your hand-eye coordination. So like cutting them in with a chainsaw is not going to do you a lot of good in the development of learning to chop real well.
And when you're putting in your footholes, you want to get them as close to the lines you're going to chop as you can, and still have confidence that you're not going to hit them. Now Matt's left a couple inches here. If he was doing this in a race, he might bring them a little closer, because the closer you get your feet together, the more power you have and the more accurately you can hit. But you have to have confidence that you're not going to hit those, because you're disqualified, as he said earlier. The more confident you are that you're going to hit where you want to, the closer you can bring those in. And the closer you bring them in, the better you probably chop. And he's trimming off the corners of those footholes because the way he and I both chop, we really try to square up to our hits. And so our feet actually go up on that center part of the log. A lot of the axemen don't do that. They keep their feet still, and they don't have to worry about that. But we like to move our feet quite a bit, so.
Oftentimes we back up and we can have a look at those footholes and see how level they are. This one's up a little bit in this corner. You can just trim that off. Oftentimes you can see where the lathe is hit, marks this way where the cutter head is cut. A lot of times we can see if that's level across there. The big reason on getting them level, when we do chop the log and we line up, say for this line, we actually want to be balanced here. This with the axe, just like a plumb bob, straight down, straight up your body, nose, belly button, everything in line. That should just balance right there. If we get 1 foot higher than the other, you can see what that'll do. That'll put this line over here. Then we're constantly fighting gravity to get it in the wood in the right place. So when I'm hitting this side, it should balance right here. And when I come over to line up for this side, it should balance right here in the line. So then all we got to do is lift it up, leave it with gravity, and let it come down.
All right. Now the only thing else that you would do with this log before you started chopping it is you'd put in nails to hold your slabs. If you hit the log hard enough in the soft wood, you lift the whole chip up, and if it slabs to the end of the log, you're disqualified. So you put in nails down the chip side of the log on both sides. We're not going to worry about that today because no one's going to disqualify us, but that's normally something you do at the bigger competitions. All right, now there's just a few really key things that everyone that's a good axeman does. And there's a lot of things that some axemen do and some don't. We talked earlier about Matt and I moving our feet a lot and trimming the edge so that our feet go right up on it. We believe that the better lined up you are for your hit, the more accurate you're going to be. But all axemen really do that. There's axemen that stand with their feet straight ahead, but then they move, they shift their weight, bend one leg, straighten the other, and they're getting their hips and their shoulders lined up. And that's key for everybody. For every hit, have your hips and your shoulders lined up with your hit. We do it by moving our feet. Other axemen do it by shifting their weight. The key thing for power is when you get the axe up, get your arms straight and your wrists cocked back. The more cocked back your wrists are, 90 degrees or better, the more power you'll hit with at the end. Straighter your arms are, the more power you'll hit with. A lot of people think if you come up really high, you're going to hit harder. But you see, you kind of lose your balance a little bit. If you come up past a certain point, if you keep your wrist bent, the axe isn't going up anymore, it's going behind you. If you do make the axe go up, your wrists are no longer at 90. So there's an optimal spot where your wrists are at 90 degrees, your axe is as high as it's going to get, and that's all the further you have to go up.
When you do go up, you want to stand up, like not just go up with your arms, but stand up. When you stand up, you'll come to a level point, level and straight up and down with that line. If you only come to here, it's easy to lean here or here from a low point, but if you come high and you try to lean, it'll put you off. So the higher you come, the more it keeps you in line with your line.
I do a slide hand style, and Matt does called a fixed hand chopping or stiff handed chopping. We're just going to teach the slide hand because the stiff hand chopping is good for Matt. He split a lot of wood and he learned that way initially. But most people, they're a lot better off learning to slide their hands as they chop. We're going to teach that. Start out down on the log. You're going to pull the axe up through, trying to keep the head of the axe centered all the time. Put it right in front of your nose. It's okay for the handle to come offline, but you want to keep the head centered up. So you're going to pull it up through. Notice I'm not reaching down to get the axe. I'm pulling it up to my hand.
One thing we should say, Mike, is we're starting on this side because we have the cameras here.
That's
showing.
A good point.
But basically, because this log's dogged on this end, this would be our second side where we'd be finishing.
That's right. Good point, Matt. All right, so we're going to pull the axe up through, and then from here we need to get it up in the air. And we're just going to stand up, like Matt was saying, and we're going to toss the axe up. And it's not a matter of, we're not going to pick it up here and then try to get our hands together. That's too hard to do. Too hard to get your timing. Pull it up through, toss it up as you stand up, and your hands are together, and you're ready to start your down hit. When Matt does it, he stiff hand chops. He picks the axe up and then sets it out, but he accomplishes the same thing. When we're all the way at the top, we're in the same position as each other, except his is a foot higher than mine. So we're going to come up, toss it up, and we're ready to make that downswing. Now I keep looking up because the cameras are up, but when you're chopping, you want to keep your nose right on your line, keep your eyes down on the block, come up, and you're ready to swing right from there. And that's the hit.
Okay, when we're cutting the log, we have a pattern. Mike's handle's a little short here for me, but your first hit, generally, the center of the axe on the center of the log. Mike's pretty close for that. If we figured center of the axe, center of the log in there. So we're going to hit the first hit just where he had it, the second hit in the top. Now we want to leave just a little bit of axe out of the wood when it penetrates all the way in. Some guys tend to hit real square like this here. I think basically you have to pivot off your shoulder. Keep this hand down. The tighter in you can keep this elbow and keep this line of the axe and this arm straight up through. So when we come up, basically I look right looking at it. I pull my elbow in and then just try to pull straight down through the line. So I'll just try to hit this top hit. Mike's handle might not suit me here a little bit.
You notice at the top of this swing, he has that same angled back of the axe. Go on up to the top and stop, Matt. And you see how far back the axe is angled? His arms are this way, and the axe is back that way. And if you come down slowly, Matt, you'll see he's going to hold that as far as possible, and then just at the end, it's going to release. And you don't even try to make that axe come around. It comes around just based on physics and gravity. And so you hold that wrist position as long as possible, and then just let the axe release at the end.
If you stand up all the way like we were talking, you come way up high, you have to be balanced and level. If you were leaning, you'd tip over. So when you come up way up high, basically all you got to do is let it fall with gravity and it'll hit your line. It'd be real hard to miss.
Those are some good hits right there. Matt's not really comfortable with my handle there, but if you are having trouble hitting where you want to, let me just show this one, then pay attention to where your nose is. You'll see a lot of people on the TV and stuff will come up and they'll hit and their head will be in here looking at how good a hit they made. Keep your nose lined up with the line of your chop, the back of your axe. Keep that axe centered right there, and then start down with your nose. If your nose is going towards that line, the axe is going to hit on that line. So start the blow with your head and your nose, and you'll hit where you want to every time.
One way to keep a lot of that straightened out, if you keep your chin on your chest, if your chin's on your chest, you can't lean your head sideways or it'll come off your chest. If you keep your head right down,
when you're cutting these round blocks, you want to get that last hit down really low. You see Matt drove 3 times there. Now in a contest, he's a big axeman, and he'll just drive 2 times down. But for all the novice and intermediate axemen, including right up through my level really, you're going to want to drive 3 times, and your last hit you get right down underneath. Because with these round logs, you're never as far on the bottom as you think you are. I recommend for the novice axeman, when he's right there on this line at the top, you're not even going to be close at the bottom. Always take a 1 and 1 and then redrive it. 1 and 1, I mean hit once on the drive side, once on the chip side, and then redrive the bottom of the drive side.
As you can see, we got a wide chip left down here, and we're basically out of wood up here. So that's what this log would need before we turn, is to hit it again here and then redrive the bottom. I'll attempt that.
Now if you pulled this log out of the stand and tipped it upside down, you'd see that he's right to the center line. If he had turned around the way it was before, he would have been short by probably 2 inches on the bottom. But now he's ready to turn, and he'll get this log off easily in the back.
When we train this, or actually working on it at home or wherever, when we're training, I never train speed, just train proper hits, good alignment. If you try to do that fast, especially in the beginning, you'll that stuff will all be falling apart and you'll have a real hard time getting it together.
The important things to remember when you're doing this are going to be to come up high, keep your wrist cocked back, your bottom elbow straight, your nose on the center line, and pull the hit in. Let it fall easy at the beginning, and then just keep accelerating as you hit the log. When you're training, you got to alternate. Just putting in one hit at a time, see how effective the hit was. Have someone watch you or videotape yourself. Make sure you're doing the hit properly. Alternate that with trying to get a little rhythm built up. But never really practice going fast. Just practice putting in your hits properly all the time. Cut the back of that.
When I cut the back, I'll be a little bit slow here. Because we're punching it off backwards, we're actually driving into the dog, so you got to be a little bit careful on the finish.
And see how his hits are lined up perfectly top and bottom. He's going to get that bottom out and then drive the top, drive the middle, and drive the bottom. And it's right off. You see he did that round of 4. He knew he could drive off the top, so he did a 1-on-1 on the bottom, and then he drove it down from the top. 1, 2, 3, and it came right off. It's very important to really line up your top and bottom hits. You can see how smooth he's cut this. This was his first hit on the bottom. His next hit on the top was right on that same line. If that's off a little bit or on a different angle, then he's recutting a lot of the same wood. So one of the things to watch for when you're training is that you're lining up your top and your bottom hits with each other as perfectly as possible, both in placement and in the angle that you put them in.
Also, this angle, when I have this hit in and the chip is still here, I'm not really aiming for this point here. I always want to try to just shave a little bit of wood as I'm coming in. Like this missed and left a little chip here, but should be more like this here, or try to keep it flat or slight change of angle rather than hit into this loose chip like we were doing here.
So what he did there is basically the pattern of hits you're always going to use. You're going to be a 4-hit rotation, bottom, top, top, bottom. You always want to hit that top hit over there to draw the top chip, and then your bottom. And then come around and keep doing that. Bottom, top, top, bottom. Bottom, top, top, bottom. And then when your top is done, 1-on-1 the bottom, and then drive from the top down. It's very important to drive from the top down for the beginning axeman and even the intermediate axeman. So then it's 1, 2, 3 to finish the side. Then you turn and do it all again. Always, always, always take an extra 1-on-1 on the bottom when your top is done, or you'll be driving for a long time.
If you drive this top and it doesn't finish, if it doesn't finish through, don't even continue down until that top's broke. So you need to break the top first and then work your way down.
Good luck and keep training. It takes a lot of practice to be good at this.